like the middle of the Atlantic, actually. We're maybe 90 miles off the coast of Charleston at this point, out in the middle of the Gulf Stream, where we started out yesterday morning at Fort Pierce, and we're heading to Beaufort, which we'll get to tomorrow afternoon. That's kind of the plan. And then for Beaufort, we've got up to 4 days or maybe even longer there, and we'll just look for a good weather window around Hatteras, and then we'll be in the Chesapeake, so it'll just be day hops after that. So woo!
Hey, just out of curiosity, what is my phone's a little bit messed up when it comes to the audio. Can you make out what we're saying right now? Is it
Yeah,
okay?
let us know if the audio's not good. So, anywho, let's see. So we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. Okay,
Yeah.
so we decided to leave Fort Pierce at like 5 in the morning.
It's windy.
Oh, just windy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it really? Oh, because the wind's in the back. Here, let me close that thing. Here,
Okay.
hold that.
Sorry.
All right.
You didn't miss anything yet.
Let me just close this. That'll take care of the wind. So I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Say hi.
So yesterday was, well, let me start from the beginning. We left the Bahamas on,
Well, even before that.
yeah, we left the Bahamas on,
Better stop by Jupiter and say hi. All right, so hopefully this sound is better now.
Yeah.
Let us know if it's not. Should be. We got that covered down, so it should be good.
yeah.
Okay, so Heidi wants to go back to Bahamas, so that's
Yes.
probably a good idea. We went to we got out of the Exumas, exited the Exumas, and went up to Better. Good. Okay.
Nassau.
We went up to Nassau. We spent a night on the fuel dock, basically, I think, if I remember correctly. And it's a little rough getting out of there. The current pushes you onto the dock, and so does the wind. So, you know, and I had no idea where they wanted me. They weren't really clear, but there were like 10 guys there. But the boat just sort of, you know, catamarans don't go sideways. They can turn, but they can't really just go, you know, laterally sideways very easily. And so by the time I inched up to the dock and allowed the thing to sort of push onto the dock, they're like, no, we want you much further forward. And then I'm like, well, crap, you know, and so we kind of scuffed the side of the boat a little bit on the stupid
There's
pilings.
3 dinks in the boat.
There's no dinks.
Well,
No,
scuffs,
no
sorry.
dinks, scuffs. And they're not even really scuffs, they're just slimy things. I checked them out. So,
Yeah.
okay, so we're just there overnight to provision and do a few other things. They have a really good grocery store there. It's like one of the best in all the Bahamas.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but that was tough. You'd go in there and you'd see the pricing, and it was ridiculously expensive. And so a lot of times, I mean, we've been to a bunch of different little grocery stores around the Bahamas, and they had everything. It was wonderful as far as everything they had, but it was we more expensive than most grocery stores. So
Yeah. So
we didn't get that much. We just got a couple of items.
it was even cheaper in Georgetown, I think. So,
Right,
which is
yeah.
quite a ways down in the Exumas. So, anywho, we got all that stuff done. Then we headed out around to the other side of New Providence Island, which is the island that Nassau's on. I always thought the island was called Nassau, but it's not. That's called New Providence, and the town is called Nassau. So it's kind of like it was. Anyway, and wouldn't you know who was there was Fair Isle. So Steve and Judy had pulled in there, I think a week or so before we got there.
Yeah.
Something like that. And Judy had left. She was going to spend a couple of weeks back in England, so she went back. But
Miss Judy.
we missed Judy,
Yeah.
so that's a bummer. But we did get to see Steve, and we hung out with him for a day
Yeah.
and had lunch and dinner with him and stuff. It was great fun, and worked on his AIS a little bit, so put a VSWR meter on that, so that was pretty cool. Anywho, we had a great time. Then we left that next morning bright and early for Fort Pierce, and that was a pretty uneventful trip.
Right. It was the only overnight that we ever did from the Bahamas, I guess, or in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So
Well, we made sure we were out of the bommies before we hit nighttime. So, and then the rest of it was just going across the stream. You know what it was though? When we turned north, right as we sort of got to the stream, so we left there from New Providence, and as we headed across, and I went north, they were burning trash there on the west end, and it was just, ugh. It was awful. For like 6 hours, my eyes were burning, my throat hurt. It was awful. So it just blew right across. It got almost, well, I'm sure it went all the way to the coast of Florida, and it only pooped out right when we got to Fort Pierce. So, aw, thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
Yay. We will buy the kitty some dinner. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we made it to Fort Pierce and just kind of went in, dropped the hook like we'd done it before. It was pretty sweet. And we were there for a couple of days? Couple nights?
We got in Sunday night and we left Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning. Yeah, but we went into the marina after that, though.
Well, okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Sunday night and then Monday night we were in the marina. Tuesday night we were back.
Yeah,
at Anchor.
we had to get gas and do a few other things. I had to meet my brother, Tom, so we did that.
Yeah.
And so it was just one night at the marina, actually. Got gas, left the next day, and went back on Anchor. And that's where it just, from there on out, things just went sideways. Absolutely sideways. So we went right back to the spot where we were. But the problem was that when we, I don't know, there's an area in the Fort Pierce Inlet where you come up on the inlet and it sort of tees into the intercoastal. On your right-hand side to the north there is a little island. And it was adorable, but there were a ton of boats around it, and there was actually a cruiser that was, I think it was high-centered. They were way too close to the edge, and that was a problem. So I didn't want to get anywhere near any of that fuss, and we saw two or three sailboats that were run aground. Remember on the just north of the, or just west of the intercoastal? Remember that?
I think there was 3.
Yeah, like 3 of them.
Yeah.
So that wasn't very fun. Anywho, we went a little bit east of the island, and there's sort of another inlet sort of through there. It's not really an inlet, but it's just sort of, it's certainly a current flow area. And then the current from the channel and the current going into there was all confused. The wind was out of the east. Boat was going all over. Everybody's boat was going all over the place.
Yeah, there was another boat dragging, and I'm like, this is.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. And they, VHF was going off about another boat that was dragging and stuff. So we ended up finally trying 3 times, but we ended up on the south side of the anchorage, and that worked out pretty well. So we had a nice night. Decided to leave at 5 in the morning. Do you want to take it to the story from there?
Yeah, this was mistake number 1. So we definitely, this was some kind of lessons learned on this trip, but I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Fort Pierce Inlet, but they have a lot of eddies and stuff when you're going in, and even during the day. The problem, somewhat similar to like something like the Palm Beach Inlet, is that there's just so many boats coming and going, and so we were like thinking, well, we leave at 5 in the morning, it's dark, nobody's gonna be out there, which nobody was.
That was correct.
That was correct. But the problem was, it was just a very bad sea state. I mean, it was.
Well, first of all, leaving at night, around us, there were like 4 other boats around us that didn't have any lights on at all. None.
Right.
No anchor lights, no nothing. And I think they're
long-term.
Yeah, they're like long-term liveaboards that kind of just can't be bothered. And their boats are all tattered up and stuff, so it's a problem over there. And but anyway.
Yeah, each side of us there was a boat that didn't have an anchor light on, so they were dark, just looking completely dark.
Somebody partying at the beach starting at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, that was
They just were there the whole time, just making a huge ruckus. So, anyway, we got out into the inlet. But the confusing thing about the inlet is off to the north side, there's another inlet that goes north, and there's a whole series of I don't know why they bothered with flashing buoys for that particular inlet, because it's nowhere anyone would go at night. It goes up to a restaurant, goes up to a bridge. I don't know, it just kind of goes, it doesn't really go anywhere. I don't know why they would bother. but they have these big, huge buoys and things. And hold on, sorry. Whatever, man. Out in the middle of the Atlantic, and somebody crap calls me. Anyway, so when you're going out the inlet, you see this sea of flashing green lights all over the place, and then some flashing red lights as well. And I'm looking at the chart plotter, I'm looking at us, I'm looking at where we're going, I'm looking at this, and it's like, do we leave that one to port or to starboard, or wait, which one is that? What are we looking at? And I don't want to hit any of them, obviously. And so it was just very confusing.
Yeah. Buoys and jetties are the two biggest concerns when you're going out the inlet.
Oh my God!
So I was really worried about the jetties, and
yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
yeah.
Yeah, so I did plot a course on the way out, but because there's usually so much traffic, I plotted it kind of close to the buoys on the way out, thinking that we were leaving at 7. And then I was thinking that what we'll do is I'll just go around the buoys if they're not exactly where they're supposed to be on the charts, which happens a lot. So now it's dark, and I'm not sure if it was a mess. So anyway, long story short, we managed to get through that and get out towards the jetties, what Heidi's talking about.
We were almost ready to turn off.
Oh yeah, we almost took left
and then
and turned
Franny's like, wait a minute,
north. And I'm like, that's not right.
There's some other ones there, and thank goodness she remembered it, because I'm like, keep going left, because you could see the red and the green, and forgetting that there's that other channel. So we were able to finally point ourselves over to the right hand side, so that we're going out to the ocean. But
yeah, because the main channel does veer to the right quite a bit.
We knew we were going to be head to wind with some really large waves, but I have no idea.
It was forecast to be like 4-foot roll, or 3 to 4 feet, just over a meter. And we had a breeze blowing, but it was only blowing in at like 11 to 12 knots, so not really strong.
And were we low tide? We were very low tide.
And it was the tide was going out, but we were like 30 minutes from slack, so it wasn't supposed to be flowing very strongly at all. And I thought, well, this isn't going to be that bad. Oh my God!
It was awful.
It was a freaking rage. So
I'm so worried that we're going to end up on the rocks, and that the Coast Guard idiots.
It was a
and
mess.
What are you guys doing? And oh my God, it was just. We're like, that was one of the dumbest things we've ever done.
It was stupid.
It was.
And it was
so
at
stupid.
night. So
it was night. It was
you only
bad.
saw these things as they came up.
Yeah,
And
there
I
were
watched
huge
this
waves.
crest of wave and head down, and the boat pitched almost like 30 degrees down. And I'm like, oh crap! And I'm yelling to Heidi, hold on, because she's
it's like
out
being
front.
on a roller coaster for sure.
Just to make sure we didn't hit anything. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, there's that, and then when it's that crazy, I usually like to check on the cats, but there was no way we were going to be able to check on them. We were both out because it was crazy.
Had our headsets on, everything.
So finally, after we got out past the very last
it took a
marker,
while. Yeah, it was still rough though, and just
very
boom
rough.
and banging through
I was
this
like,
stuff.
I better go check on the cats and go check on things, and that was the next mistake.
So Heidi goes down and checks, and so this was my screw up big time. It was
both of our screw ups.
I had forgotten to close the port light on the starboard forward berth.
So there's I've looked for Ozzy and Zeke on the master side. I just saw Ozzy. I didn't see Zeke, and I'm like, really? In this crazy weather, he's already gone on the other side.
Yeah, that's where he likes
to hang out on the other side. And so I'm walking over there, and I'm seeing a little bit of water on the floor, just a bit, and I was like, oh, maybe Zeke got sick. Which, that was my first thought. We had given him medicine because we knew it was going to be rough. So that wasn't it. Then I kept looking forward, and there's more and more water on the.
So yeah,
I was just like in the hallway, and then I all of a sudden see the window and waves splashing in at that point. We must have hit another one just then, and I'm like, crap, our window's open, and I still have my headset on. I'm talking to Franny, and I'm like, oh my God, there's water coming in, and there's water all over, and we have this little storage area directly below that has like all of our cloth, like
towels and rags and stuff in there.
It was just Soaked.
So-
So the water had gone in there.
Yeah, we had a few loads of
Went
laundry
into
to do
the
for sure.
bilge.
So
Yeah.
I probably pulled 5 gallons of water, salt water, out of the bilge.
Yeah.
And I keep our bilges so dry. All I want in there are dust bunnies. That's it. And I'm religious about that. And
Which she
there
is.
was 5 gallons
But-
flopping around inside there. Oh,
But-
I was so, what a moron moment.
Yeah, and
Total M squared action.
we were pretty certain, since we haven't had any issues with water in the bilge. She got it cleaned up, and I just said let's check back in like an hour just to make sure before
it
we
wasn't something else.
go
Yeah.
really far away from Fort Pierce to make sure that you know that the boat's not taking on water for some other reason.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it didn't. I mean, it was from that problem.
Yeah, we checked the
Just
engine
keeping
bay.
the hatch
Engine
open.
bay is dry as a bone.
Yeah.
It was just the interior hull bilge. And so, I got all that water out and cleaned it up pretty well. And we just left it kind of open just to keep an eye on it, just as how you said.
Yeah, and we have a checklist. There was no.
We have a
excuse for that.
checklist.
And the checklist says, are all the hatches closed?
Yeah,
so,
all the hatches closed. It's on our departure checklist.
so
Also,
somehow we didn't make it through the checklist.
and check the check the bilges is also on there. So I did do that. I did check the
Yeah,
bilges.
right.
The
They were
problem
right.
was that I did my evening checklist, and it's on the evening checklist. And I think I opened the windows because it was hot and stuffy, and didn't think to close them on.
So that isn't on our checklist for next morning.
Needs to be on the morning checklist.
I guess so.
God, so that was just so stressful.
Yeah,
And
so
then
we're just dumb. Yeah.
And that's the way this route plotted, was that it was going to get better every minute from there on out. So the worst was going to be when we left the inlet, and then it got progressively better the entire trip. And right now, it's pretty mellow out there. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
see back there.
We're just looking around.
So it's nice and sunny out there. What you're not seeing are a lot of white caps. So looks like this out there. It's just pretty mellow. Just super chill.
Right. Yep.
So
So a couple of days ago, a catamaran mostly sunk when it hit a shoal, ripped its keel off, entering St. Augustine Inlet. Sort of a joke.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
No.
They're not. No.
Yeah,
We're not proud of what we did for sure.
No, we are. I mean, we are just lucky, and that's why we're telling. We're telling everybody about it because.
This is what all the banging is about. So, see that apparent wind, 2.2, 2.1. It was up to 12 or
we're
13.
down to 7 knots.
Yeah, I know. We keep slowing
The other
down.
engine.
I don't understand what happened. So I'm going to have to crank on the other engine. I will hand you this.
Frank's gonna start the engine.
Oh my God. It was fine 2 minutes ago. This has been just kind of the way it is. So, and I'll have to go put the preventer on the boom. Okay. Just turn this engine off.
So you don't need to worry about warming it up.
No, I just turned it off. There we go.
Yeah.
So, crank it back up again. Let's give us some more apparent wind too.
So
There we go. See, now we have 9 knots of apparent wind.
Steven said it looks like smooth conditions. It's mostly smooth for the Gulf Stream.
It is. They're just big rollers.
I mean,
And
we're
it's-
still rocking for sure,
It's not bad.
but
It's super good. I mean, this is amazing, I
go
think.
from-
So, mid boom or end of the boom for your okay. Oh, for the preventer. I'll show you. So I don't have it hooked up. I just put the main out, but that's where I tie it off. It's just right in the center of the 3 attachment points up there, and I'll just run that line over to the midship cleat. Is what I'll do. Sorry. And lock it down, so I can go. I'll go do that. I need to do that, but anyway, yeah. So we're now. Oh yeah, you can do this. Okay, so sorry to kind of move things back and forth a bit, but now look at that. So cranked on an engine, all of a sudden we've got all sorts of wind, right? We got 10 knots at 60 degrees, which is awesome, and we're going 10, 9.2, 9.8, 9.7. Steering wheel's in the way. 9.7. But look at the drift. We have 1.2 knots of drift. That is the Gulf Stream. It's been up to 3.5 or more. So,
Yeah, yesterday it was like 3 knots.
oh, wind angle is 60 degrees.
Yep.
That's the apparent wind angle. The true wind, though, is quite a bit further down, so it's close to 120. It's like 110, 113.
Right.
So we're pulling that wind pretty darn far forward. It's aft. The true wind is aft of the beam. We're pulling it forward of the beam, which is almost a little bit better for this boat to sail with the sails we have. Weirdly, if we can get good wind from on the bum, that's great. But if we can't, then it sails at like 60 degrees really well, actually. And we're in over 2,000 feet of water, 2240 feet of water. So
Yep.
definitely in the Gulf Stream, just hanging out. So if you're wondering where we are, let's see. So that's kind of it. So we are down here, right about there-ish, and
So where's Charleston?
Charleston's over here, somewhere.
Oh yeah, here's Charleston right here.
Charleston's
so
right
that's
there. So
us.
we're straight out from Charleston.
Yep.
Yep. And heading up to Beaufort. Not Beaufort, but Beaufort.
Beaufort.
I think
South
yeah,
Carolina.
like Beaufort.
Yeah.
So the sea state and the weather just got better and better and better, and it's been really nice. We were getting a little bit of hammering yesterday, even yesterday afternoon, but these rollers are so smooth right now. Boats just goes up and down over them. It's great. It's been great. So, I mean, for being out in the middle of the Atlantic, it's which is scary. I'll tell you, my anxiety was through the roof for this trip.
It really was.
I was so worried about it. Anytime we go this far offshore, we're almost 100 miles offshore. That's a long ways. If anything went drastically wrong, we could be,
Don't be cursing us.
yeah, then we could be kind of screwed. So
Yeah, that's right.
it's just something I think about when we're out here, and always kind of like always in the back of my mind. But there hasn't been much traffic. We seen a couple of tanker or cargo ships go by, and there was one sailboat that peeled off to the left and was gone. But other than that, really not much. Everybody would be going the same direction for the most part, except for the cargo ships. They don't care. But we're in the stream, so if you're a sailboat, you wouldn't do this. You can go the opposite direction. Not in the stream, you wouldn't. That'd be silly.
Right.
So that's kind of nice. Our AIS seems to be working, which is good. It's always a thing. It usually cuts out after like 18 hours or something, and won't update, won't do anything, and targets come and go. So I put a fan on it inside where it's mounted behind the nav desk, and I'm hoping the fan's helping.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Our VHF, on our VHF here, so on this guy here, it has our position, our speed, and all that sort of stuff on it. Great, and it has its own built-in GPS, but it just freaked out yesterday, and it's like, GPS hasn't updated in 4 hours. I'm like, why are you telling me? You know, you're the one with the GPS built in. Why don't you go check your own GPS, dude? What do you check? Why are you bringing that to? That sounds like a YP, not an MP. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
was
that
talking
happened a
to our
couple times yesterday.
I was talking to our friend Paul about it, and he's like, why don't you just recycle it, turn it off? Okay, so pro tip,
Yeah.
if you turn off
Another
your
thing.
instrumentation in the middle of a trip, a couple of things are going to happen. One, it will turn off your radar, just so you know. The second thing, which is actually more fun, is that it turns off
Your
the autopilot.
Yeah.
It breaks the connection with the autopilot. So then the boat, this one, being a catamaran as such, goes straight to wind.
Right.
That's what it does. Loves going to wind. That's great. You always want to, right? You don't want to lee helm. So it's great. It goes,
So we were really
goes
going
straight to wind.
going away from the U.S.
Well, yeah, so we peel off to
Towards
starboard a bit
Bermuda.
and head up on the wind.
Right, yeah.
And all of a sudden the sails are flogging really weird, and I'm like, "What are you doing back there?" And I was like, what? What do you go? Oh, you didn't tell me to do anything." I'm like, "You were on a course." We're like, "No, autopilot's off." I'm like, "Okay, we'll connect to it and get back on course." No, that's not what we do. Oh my God. So, you know, these are the sorts of fun things you figure out when you have to do crazy stuff.
I
at sea.
really feel that the last 3 or 4 months since we've been cruising again that we've just learned so much.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
have.
you just
We've had
it's
so
all
many
about
trials and tribulations.
it's all about getting out there.
Right?
I mean, it's so different when you're on a dock at a marina versus trying to anchor. And how many anchoring issues have we had? So, I mean, it just
Anchoring went pretty well. In the Bahamas, the sand is really, it's wonderful actually. The anchor just buries itself in it and then it's just there. And when you pull it up, it's always clean. It doesn't have this big lump of goo on the bottom of it. So that's sweet. But we were,
Pipe Key is
yeah,
that.
we were in Pipe
Yeah.
Key. So that's
That's what that short is. We put a little short out about that, about our bad anchorage. Yeah.
it's reminiscent of Woodrick Wells, which is a narrow channel with sandbars on both sides. And so Pipe Key's kind of the same sort of thing. It's beautiful. It's really, really pretty. Kind of a lot of flies, but other than that, it was really, really pretty. Water's super clear, and you're over the top of coral reefs and stuff too. Didn't know that. They're just rocks below you, but the coral grows on it. And that's an anchorage. I think it's dumb. I think they should put balls in there, honestly, just like they did in Woodrick Wells. I would have happily just hooked up to a ball.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so we went to leave the next morning, and it was the first day where the wind had kind of chilled out, because that's one of the reasons we were there, because the wind was blowing. And
So clear.
it's so clear, and you can see all the way down, and I'm like, where's our anchor? And so I'm looking at the chain, which is wrapped around a big rock, and then the anchor's literally, well, it just doodles out, comes back around, doodles back, and the anchor was actually off the port bow, but it was upside down, sitting on its hoop. And the pointy bit was sticking up. And I'm like, that's not doing anything. And there's a lot of current that runs through there. It goes back and forth every day. Well, evidently, we had just wrapped our chain around that rock.
Well,
So that took a bit of Heidi's finesse at the controls. I'm up front, and I'm like, all right, now move over. Okay, go forward, forward. Yeah, okay, now slow down. Okay, great. Now, I need you to go to port. So she goes, just kind of works the boat to port. I'm like, that's sweet. Okay, we're getting around it. Okay, now I need you to back up. And we literally just uncoiled the chain from the rock and then just pulled it up. And we carefully pulled it up because once I could see down there, I'm like, there's coral down there. Oh.
Yeah.
So we pulled it up and didn't trash anything and didn't break any coral rocks or any of that. So, yikes. But it was a nice anchorage. I don't think I would be right there anymore. I would push further.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
Once again,
Yeah.
we learned a lot about swell and how swell can just literally turn more than 90 degrees around a corner.
Yeah.
And,
that happened.
It can come in through an inlet and then just turn sideways.
So even
when
though
it
you
goes
think
around
you're
an
going to be
island.
protected,
Yeah.
you're not.
No.
The swell's coming around the corner and really hitting the anchorage. And that happened at Chub Key, and that also happened at,
It happened at other rock.
and there was a couple other
Yeah.
ones.
It happens a lot, really.
Yeah.
So even if it's a really long island, you'd be surprised how the chop just kind of makes its way through. It was weird.
So what were your takeaways from going to the Bahamas? Since we really haven't done
yeah.
a live stream since we
Sure.
were there. Not really.
Everybody says, well, was it what you expected? I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest.
Right.
I found for me, the things I liked the most were the things where it did have the least number of people. There's a lot of sort of, I just use the word tourist trap kind of attractions all over the place, like pigs at Shroud, and some of those are worth doing and some of them
Thunderball
aren't.
Grotto.
Yeah, there's Thunderball Grotto, there's the sunken C-46 at Norman's, there's the Lazy Rivers at Shroud. There's a lot of kind of cool things you can go check out, and they're usually great as long as there aren't a bunch of people there. I could totally pass on the pigs. Not interested in the pigs.
I didn't want to go at all.
No.
We ended up going anyway.
And in a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
these areas, they bring down people all the way from Nassau every day on a boat. And so there's just like 40 people will show up in this teeny weeny little attraction, like a hole in the wall somewhere, and you're like, great. And then there's like 20 people trying to snorkel some teeny little bit outcropping of something or a little cave or something.
Right.
So the trick is to go when there's no people. We went to the Rocky Dundas, which was by Cambridge Key.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. It's right across the street from Rachel's Bubble Bath, which was fun too. So nobody at Rachel's Bubble Bath, because it really wasn't a great day for it, but it was still really pretty. But it made the Dundas really, really perfect. So they're just two caves, one next to each other, with a big coral reef in between, and then they have a couple of little dinghy balls there that you can attach your dinghy to. And we dove both of those and had a great time. I really like those. You go into the caves and they're all pinks and purples and stalactites everywhere and stuff.
YouTube short about all these things.
Yeah.
Watch what they look like. But that was a special one because it's not a good idea to go when the wind is blowing from the east. It makes a very bad entrance.
It faces east. Yeah, it faces east.
And
right
in our case,
directly
it was
across from
west,
inlet.
right? It was west.
It was a westerly blow.
Going to the west, so
Yeah,
it's much easier
perfect.
to get in. But
So you got to
those
time
caves can be scary, I know.
Yeah, and you got to time what you're doing.
Yeah.
Georgetown was okay. It kind of grew on me the more we were there. We were there for like 3 weeks. We just had a bad experience.
2 weeks too long.
We got yelled at as soon as we got there, and in fact our buddy boat, they got yelled at too, and they were kind of upset about it, so they actually left.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just some, and it's primarily cruisers, and
It is.
so the people that were doing the yelling were other cruisers. It wasn't the Bohemians that were doing that.
No,
so,
no.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable place for retirees, I would say.
Totally. Yeah, it feels like a Florida retirement community. They have the whole thing going on the VHF in the morning. They do this whole little presentation thing and tell you what's going on and this and that. And it's very community oriented, I suppose. But it feels more cliquey than community to me. But that's just my opinion. So, and I was only there for a few weeks. So,
they have some beautiful beaches there.
yes.
And there'd be nobody on.
No.
Which is great.
Walk across to the Atlantic side, and the beaches were just to die for. And you could just go up and down them. Felt a bit like the Pacific Northwest, really. Kind of rocky, a lot of it, and but sandy as well, and just really pretty. But warmer than the Pacific Northwest for sure.
Yes, but the Bahamas were significantly colder than you expected.
Right, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
Sure.
It's colder than it is right now here in the Gulf Stream. The
Yeah.
Gulf Stream warms things up so much because it's hot here now, and there was always a cool breeze. It was always like in the 70s, maybe 80 degrees, 81 or something at the most. Every night was nice cool breeze.
We did not put our air conditioning on.
No, it was killer.
It's really nice.
So I really liked it. It was our first time going to the Bahamas. Our first time to take the boat out of the U.S. Probably one of our longer cruises. We come down from Chesapeake. We've done that twice. So I mean, we're on a 2-night cruise tonight as well. So it's not like we don't do long deals, but it was good. The sailing was really good. The wind was very consistent. You could totally get the sails out and just sail to your next destination. We didn't use much gas. Systems worked well. Everything, all that other stuff worked fine. It was just kind of getting around big cruise ships, getting swamped by all the tour boats, the tourists. If you want to go to, like, Pipe Key has these really cool sandbars, really pretty sandbars that just sort of pop up. But then all the boats come down from Nassau, and there's, loud tunes and a bunch of people, very bright people running around and kind of being, it's not my vibe. It's all very crazy. So I don't know, it's fun. No, we had a good time. We really did. We hooked up with some friends that showed us the ropes, and that was helpful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. SV Adagio, they were great.
Yeah, they've been
Julio
cruising
really
those
helped,
areas for a really long time.
Yeah, for a very long time. So it's great to get some insider info.
Yeah. Very helpful.
We didn't touch bottom anywhere, which that was a miracle, but there were some super shallow spots for sure. I have my Navionics set up. I should do a little video on it sometime. You can set up the fishing zones, and they're just depth zones, colored depth zones. I don't know why they call them fishing zones, but whatever. But I set them up in terms of red, and then orange, and then blue.
Red is bad.
Red bad.
Yeah, we
so
do not go into red areas.
red means that at low tide you're going to bump the bottom.
Yeah.
Orange means you can travel through it carefully, but it's a great place to anchor. And then blue is you're fine, probably a little too deep to anchor. So having that set up that way was really helpful. We found Navionics. I'm just going off. We found Navionics to be very accurate in their depths. I checked it many times, and Navionics killed it every time. So they were really reliable. The locations of all the bombies and things lined up. It's the Bahamas. There's a million people there all the time. So
Yeah.
the charts were good. No problems there. Trying to think anything else? Did you do anything else?
No. So as far as differences go,
Restaurant stuff?
we haven't been to all of the Bahamas, so we only did the exhibits. And
And most of the restaurants.
well,
You're awful. The one at
Stephen will at least be able to vouch for some
yeah,
of this
thinking about
too.
that.
Yeah.
Especially the one that was down there
Yeah.
at Georgetown. Yeah, they were terrible. Terrible food, and took forever to serve. So,
Well, and honestly, if you want fresh fish, you're not going to get it there. It's all going to be frozen fish that comes over from the United States.
yeah, that's
So
part of the problem.
everything, like you go to any grocery store, you look at where stuff came from, and it's all from the US. So, I was even because remember we had a little run on the eggs right before we left, so I didn't get eggs before going on over the Bahamas. And as soon as I got over there, there's plenty of eggs everywhere, and I went and looked at them. It says like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I was like, oh. Well, I don't know how that's working out, but because the bird flu was here in the U.S.
Right. We're not
So-
going to throw all these eggs away. Let's just ship them to the Bahamas. So,
But some of the things that I learned, and this is something that I think is really worth before you guys go do some international travel, is there's some things that are very limited. For example, if something went wrong with our cat's health, like one of them had to get into a vet, most of the islands only have a vet come once a month. So,
Really?
yeah, like
Wow.
the smaller islands. So,
once a month?
I mean,
Don't
you're
get
going to
sick.
probably have to go to Nassau. If something is really, really bad, you're going to have to hightail it to Nassau, no matter what the weather's like. Just because they don't have a vet you can go into every day. Some vet just goes around, hops around on the islands. Obviously, we talked about the grocery stores a little bit, and it's kind of hit and miss. You have to wait for the mail truck to come. We didn't do Amazon at all. It's my understanding after listening to some stuff and like on the cruisers net in Georgetown that it take about 2 weeks to get anything from Amazon. And if you're in a hurry, it might even be easier to just go to Nassau, fly over the States, and come back. We heard that people talking about doing that.
Hope you do that from Georgetown.
Right,
They
or
have an
that
airport
Georgetown
as
as well. Yeah, there's several airports around there.
With a direct flight every Sunday to Canada.
Canada as well.
Ontario.
Yeah. So, and obviously they don't have something like a Towboat US or Sea-Tow. So if you do go around, it's always a good idea, to move your boat if you're going to be moving it on a low tide, to make sure that the tide's going to be coming in
It's on a
and
rising
not going
tide.
out.
Yeah.
Because if it's going out, then you're going to have to wait for it to go all the way out and then come all the way back in again until it can rise you up if you go around.
Yeah, we totally tried to do that. We did it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
We were like, I think we should leave it at 11 because it's going to be a rising tide. And if we do
Right.
get stuck, I think we're fine. But if we
Right.
do, then we just have to wait a little bit to get unstuck. You got to
Yeah.
think. I think it's a really good point that you got to think in those terms, not like, I'll just call somebody and they'll yank me off the reef.
Right.
You can't do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
There may not. Well, there isn't anybody really to call.
So,
And 5
yeah.
dinghies may not be enough to get
Right.
you off the.
Right, so there's that side of it. Same, a friend of ours got bit by a cat. He was able to get into a clinic that was there and get some antibiotics for it.
Oh, right.
But, a lot of times it's really important to talk to your doctor before you go on these international trips, because it would have been a lot easier had they had some sort of antibiotics on their boat, than having to find a clinic that was actually
Yeah.
had somebody there and open and available. When you're on
Yeah,
these
that's a
little
good point.
islands, there's just not a lot of services. So, I don't know, those are, I mean, just limited services. And I mean, I imagine it's the same way in French Polynesia and other Greek islands or whatever, who knows. But maybe not. Maybe that they're,
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
I don't know.
We haven't been there, so we can't comment on the ones where we haven't been.
I think. Oh, we did a couple other things. We did break in the blue. Yeah, like the comments.
Yeah, I want to see what comments. Committee is strong in some of those anchorages. Oh, yeah.
It is.
Have you considered setting up fish zones to match the color format of the USACE?
Used for their depth surveys.
I don't know about that.
That's a thought. I did it specifically to our boat and the abilities of our boat, because when I'm going in, I don't want to be doing math. Our depth sounder is from the keel down, plus it gives me another, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches as well, just as a little buffer zone. So if I read 0, we've got about 6 inches under the keel. So everything is relative to the boat, so I don't have to do math. I can't. If I'm looking around and stuff, I can't be thinking. I mean, it pisses me off that Navionics won't do course up. Great, I know. North up is the way everyone, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's the way it is, tradition. I'm like, I need it to be practical. Tradition, whatever.
There's several things about Navion, or Predict Wind. Predict Wind doesn't allow you to...
well, yeah, Predict Wind's another one.
You want your destination final time. It doesn't allow you to work backwards.
That's the way we do it. We work backwards. We need to be at the marina by 5, so work backwards. And so what's our time? We get there at 10 in the morning, we get there at 3 in the afternoon, what works? Anyhow, so I try to do everything those sorts of things that are specific to the boat, so that I don't have to think about it under weird situations. It's my brain doesn't like to do that sort of stuff impromptu. But we broke in the blue, which is it's a blue 3 Nomad. It's like they call them Buka systems or whatever, but it allows you, it's a little device that floats in the water. It's got a compressor in it and allows you to kind of go down 30 feet or so with no tanks, just the hose going up to the thing. It worked really well. The batteries don't last as long as I had thought they would, maybe 20, 25 minutes, maybe a little longer. So I guess probably was. They tell you, I'm not certified diver, so I took all their courses and took their whole class and their whole 9 yards. And it basically says never stop breathing, don't hold your breath, things like that. Great. So I'm breathing all the time. It was weird to breathe with, for sure. I don't know, it was a little strange. But it did work, and I was able to clean the boat. I forget where I did it. But I did clean the boat. Did I do it in Murder Wells?
Oh, you cleaned the boat.
Yeah. I didn't do it in Wardrobe.
Was it Shroud?
Shroud, I guess. Yeah, probably.
No, you
Shroud.
didn't have the blue on there.
Not at Shroud. Maybe it was at...
No, you cleaned it Shroud, but you didn't have the blue yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I did use the blue, and I did clean because I ran through 2 batteries and got all the little barnacles off. There weren't many little guys. It just keeps losing our wind.
Yeah, our sails are going all over the place. It's like so noisy.
Well, the boat rocks, and if there's not enough wind to hold the sail, then the boom just comes flying over, and that's why that's better on things. In fact, why don't I go do that, and you do that, and you say hi to folks, and
Okay.
you can come over and show me doing it if you want.
Right. Yep. I don't have my life jacket on. So take this for me, then I'll go grab it.
I can't do that and get down at the same time. All right. Okay. It's probably a little windy out here. Here's another good question. This is our jib car, or general car, whatever you want to call it. Well, we don't have a lot of wind. That's what our telltales are telling us there. So there's just not that much wind. But the wind is supposed to be forward of the beam right now. And it is, kind of, because we're making that wind. And the big question is, you know, I always kind of have this big thing about what do we do for twist, because I know that if the car is forward, you can pull the twist out of the sail, and if the car's back, it'll allow more twist in the sail.
Talk really loud.
Yeah, I am. So, I don't know. It's hard to tell, though, because we're rocking back and forth, and we just don't have that much wind, and I never know the best way to tune these sails, for sure. To me, those telltales are telling me that that sail needs to be sheeted in a bit, because the aft telltales, or the forward telltales, I guess, are flopping down. The ones on the back, I can't tell. I can't even see them. I think they're going, I don't know what they're doing, going great. And then the twist is all about the one at the top. So it's doing about the same thing. It's sort of dragging down. To me, this sail needs to come in a bit. And I don't know, I've just been playing with the position of this thing, trying to figure it all out. But anyway, let's get that preventer on. So I'm going to hand you over to Heidi.
Alright.
I'm going to be here.
Okay.
And you need to be up forward.
Okay.
Waggles when you're ready to do this. It never does. As soon as I lock this thing off, it'll
Looks pretty good.
We have the sunfish tucked up pretty nicely here, right under the solar panels. And the dinghy is in mummy mode, so it's all wrapped up. It's all just kind of quiet out here. So it looks like we just have, we have both engines running, I think. Yeah, we do. We had to do that, that's right. Start them both up.
It's really loud down here, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's just loud. It's amazing how loud it is down here. All right, well, I think we've yammered at you long enough.
Alright.
So,
Thanks
all
for
right.
staying with us,
Yeah,
even
thanks
with the
for
bad audio. I'm
Yeah.
sure it wasn't great.
yeah, we should probably get a little mic or something. We're gonna do these. But yep. So that's our day today. It's a nice day out here. I hope you enjoyed joining us out here. It's kind of fun, I think. But hopefully we'll have a pretty chill rest of the sail in. The waves are supposed to pick up towards the end, but they're supposed to be on the bum. And if that's the case, I can handle that. I just don't want to hammer into these things or get them on the side and make us roll like crazy. But it should be, at least that's what we ordered, right? That's what I put in my order for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did get a routing from Chris Parker as well, and he verified all that stuff. So
Yeah.
we used our last routing credit for this.
Yeah. It's been good.
He's been really
Sure.
good and really great with us about that. So he's been good.
Like, he actually wanted us to leave on Tuesday
afternoon, which would have made it 3 nights.
And we're like, yeah.
But then we
can't
would
do
have
that.
we would have gotten in at like 1 in the morning or something. And we're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going in the middle of the night. We've been to this marina before, but if there's nobody there, it was kind of a little dicey and hard to do when we left.
They want you to dock a certain way, and when they help you, they kind of tell you what
Yeah.
to do, which is good. So,
Yes, I plan on being out there, but other things happen. Yeah, I know. So, but soon enough, right? So pretty soon, you guys are gonna get back out and then be out here in the middle of the ocean like us. I guess just like, you know, I got thinking of this last night. All these things run through your head. I'm like, man, this is damn dangerous. We're out in the middle of the ocean. Anything could go wrong. And I look out the back and I think, one wrong step, you're in the ocean and you're dead. You know. And I thought about it and I thought, yeah, but you could be on an interstate traveling at 80 miles an hour with a semi not more than 6 feet from you, also doing 80 miles an hour, 20, 30 feet over from you on your other side, cars doing 80 miles an hour, but in the absolute opposite direction. It does not take long to move 20 or 30 feet, you know, at 80 miles an hour. Things go wrong instantaneously on the road. But out here, they go wrong very slowly. Like, oh, there's a container ship coming. It's not going to be here for 20 minutes. So you've got time to think about what you're going to do. You know, it's not like it's going to happen immediately. So I don't know. Is this any more dangerous?
Hit something.
What if we bought an airplane and decided to fly across the country, you know, by ourselves or whatever? Well, I don't know. I mean, I think the boat's actually way more forgiving. You know, I mean, you get really tired in an airplane, but you can, whatever you have to pee. I mean, there's all sorts of things that would be a problem, I think, and dangerous. And airplanes have that same sort of takeoff and landing issue that we do, getting in and out of marinas or in or out of falls and whatever we're doing. So, I don't know. I think this is probably not nearly as dangerous as it seems, although there are a couple of very strict things you cannot do. Do not exit the boat in the middle of the Atlantic, period. If you do, you're done. It's just it. You know? So, I mean, it's kind of, that's the thing. So, but just don't leave. So we have, and in that vein, we have back here our ties. So whenever we're up here, strictly by ourselves.
I wish we had more. We only have 2. We need more.
We need to get some more of these. So we use these all over the place. I have my jack lines out. So certainly, if we're out and about and we're the only one here, there's 2 people up, even if there are, still just tie off. It's just easier.
Well, if we had more, like, they're just a certain length, and you could even use something longer sometimes. And that's why I was thinking you could put 2 of them together. But it'd be nice to have more.
You just don't want it long enough where you can go over the edge.
No, I get that.
It's too short.
I was trying to do something yesterday, though, and I had tied it off, and then I couldn't get to the side of the boat.
Yeah, I know. I've done that too.
It was too short.
Yeah,
I was like,
I totally get it. All right, everyone. Well, we've run way over.
Yeah. Joining us. We after tomorrow, we should be in Beaufort for about 4 nights, I think, and then we can start doing some. Once we do our day hops,
we can do more of these. Yeah.
Live streams going north.
And like I said in the WhatsApp group, if you're in the WhatsApp group, maybe we can do a Zoom call with the folks in the WhatsApp group. So
right.
Well,
the WhatsApp group is part of the Patreon.
Yeah, it's part of the Patreon thing. Yeah. Anyway, so we might do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, everyone. Well, have a great rest of the afternoon.
Yep.
And we will keep you apprised of how we're doing and do more shorts and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And we've got more videos coming out as well. We've got the 2 videos that started on the electrical system. We're continuing on with that. We've been a little distracted by traveling, but we'll get back on
get
that.
one out Sunday.
Yeah, we'll get them going again.
Right.
So we've got a lot of the next one already edited. So it just needs to be kind of finished up. It's been tough getting all that done all at the same time too. So the electrical system's a big deal, and it's been working great. So I think it's a good thing to do videos on.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, for the 15th time, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next time. All right. Safe travels.
Bye.